Okay. Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's virtual open event for the Human Tissue Repair MSc/MRes and Nanotechnology and Regenerative Medicine MSc programs. Thank you for joining us. My name is Tiffany Oregon, and I am a Nanotechnology and Regenerative Medicine MSc current student. I'll be helping to guide today's session. This event is a chance for you to learn more about both programs, hear directly from the academic leader, and get a sense of what it's like to study a postgraduate degree at UCL. We hope you find it helpful as you explore your next steps. I'm delighted to introduce our speakers, Markela Ponticos, Professor of Connective Tissue and Vascular Biology, and Gavin Gell, Professor of Nanotechnology and Regenerative Medicine. We're also joined by Donovan, another Nanotechnology and Regenerative Medicine MSc student, and Selma, a current student of Human Tissue Repair course, who will help support the Q&A later on. This session is being recorded and will be available on our website after the event. We'll begin with the Human Tissue Repair's Master's presentation. Markela, over to you.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to try and share my screen. I hope you can see it. I'm Markela Ponticos. I'm the director of the master's program in human tissue repair. I'm also professor of connective tissue and vascular biology in the division of medicine. I wanted to talk a little bit about human tissue repair and what this program is about. Basically, in human tissue repair, we're looking to understand the complex systems that underlie the processes of tissue repair in the human body after injury, in disease, and during regeneration. It's a very, as I said, a very complex system and of orchestrated responses, many inflammatory, many immune responses. And there's a lot of crosstalk between the various cells in tissues and organs that have their own programs and behaviors. And in human tissue repair, we try to understand how they come together to overcome injury or disease, depending on their environment. In human tissue repair, there is an emphasis on the immune response and inflammation, as well as the therapies that we have developed in these areas. But also, we have a focus on intervention, concentrating on tissue engineering, stem cell therapy, and transplantation science. And it's a holistic program where we look at human tissue repair in a 360 degree fashion, not only from the basics of the repair program, but also in therapy and intervention. So human tissue repair, human tissue repair is taught mainly at the Royal Free campus of UCL in Hampstead in terms 1, and in term 2 we move a lot of our taught modules to the Bloomsbury campus, and our research projects are taken all over UCL. So if you join human tissue repair, you will be experiencing the whole of UCL, basically. The human tissue repair program is structured like this. There is a lot of flexibility and a lot of choice for the student in human tissue repair. In term 1, we have 4 core modules. The leveling modules, I call them, because the students we have come from various academic backgrounds, and in term one, we make sure that you have all the basic knowledge that you require to do well in understanding the complex systems of human tissue repair and intervention. So we've got principles of inflammation, immunology, tissue repair and regeneration, and research methodologies. In term two, we also have a core module where you is a wet lab where we prepare you with various techniques that you're going to use in your research projects. And in term two, you also decide whether you want to go through to the one pathway, the immunotherapy pathway, or the tissue engineering pathway. If you choose this module, immunological basis of disease, that takes you down to an MSc or an MRes in human tissue repair immunotherapy. Or if you choose tissue engineering and regenerative medicine, you end up with a degree in human tissue repair and tissue engineering. In addition, if you're a master's student, an MSc student rather than an MRes student, you have the choice of two of these modules depending on which pathway you're on. If you're an MRes student, you do a substantive research project that starts in January and ends in August and is worth half of your degree. An MSc student does a smaller project that is worth 60 credits, a third of your degree, and it starts after the end of term two. So you have inbuilt a lot of choice. The organization of the Human Tissue Repair program is in is carried out in lectures and tutorials. We have online facilities on Moodle, and the assessments vary a lot from multiple choice, coursework, short answer questions, presentation, oral presentations, and poster presentations. We spend a lot of the time ensuring that you understand what you've been taught in lectures very well by doing problem-based tutorials, which are very interactive and ensure that the knowledge you've gained is deeply ingrained. Sometime in term one, we have a decision day where you can decide whether you want to do to remain an MSc or an MRes student. You can also decide whether you want to be an immunotherapy or not transplantation, a tissue engineering student pathway, and then you decide your options as well. So you can come in the program without actually with the ability to change within term one. And as I said, you can choose, there's a lot of choice by deciding which pathway you want to do. If you like both, you can pick optional modules. But in the end, you will have to decide whether you're into tissue engineering or more immunology. Our practical laboratory research skills modules offer a lot of hands-on experience, which gives you the confidence to go into a research project and know what you're doing. And that is both appreciated by your supervisors, but also by you, because you can hit the ground running, basically. And the research projects are very, very varied, and they're never the same. If you choose human tissue repair, you will have one-to-one meetings with me, and we together will choose a project that fits your scientific interests. you will then join a lab that is currently working on a subject that you're interested in, um, and hopefully this will form the basis of your future scientific interest. Our graduates mostly remain go on to do PhDs in academia, and although some of them go into to do graduate medicine, the currently about 82% go into PhDs. The rest go into graduate medicine or the pharmaceutical industry. Some go into public health and clinical trials jobs, and some end up going into health-related organizations, charities, and even do law conversion degrees. And just as a demonstration here, you can see this is the class of, or the COVID class, which spanned 19 and 20. All of these students during a very disruptive year ended up doing PhDs and are now postdocs or are in industry. So, and that's the end of my talk, but I'm very, very happy to ask questions later.
Thank you, Markella. Now we'll move on to the Nanotechnology and Regenerative Medicine MSc presentation. Gavin, over to you.
Hello, everyone. So, as Tiffany said, I'm the director of the MSc in Nanotechnology and Regenerative Medicine. And we are joined by some current students on the course and for Human Tissue Repair, Selma. So if you have any questions about experience and things, then please put them in the chat and we will address those or get the students. The students will address those questions. So I'm going to share my screen. Can you all? Is that a yes? Thumbs up? Thumbs up. Good. Thank you. So a quick overview of our course. It is entitled Nanotechnology and Regenerative Medicine, and surprisingly, we cover those kind of topics. The kind of one of the main research areas is looking at how materials interact with biological environments or within biological environments. So how do we direct stem cell differentiation by engineering materials? In the case of nanomedicine, how do we get nanoparticles or nanomaterials to go where they need to go to, or to release drugs where we want them to? As human tissue repair and a lot of masters, it is very research based. It's 50% research project, and joining research groups that are covering areas that are related to tissue engineering, organ regeneration, nanomedicine, or the creation of new materials. Tiffany and Donovan are in my research group, and they're looking at developing a bioactive glass, a material that is specific for diabetic patients in terms of orthopedic replacement. And you can ask me about that if you like. This is the modules. We have 5 core modules. We have 5 taught core modules: nanotechnology and medicine, applied tissue engineering, biomaterials and regenerative medicine, research methodologies, and there's a practical module. Then you get a choice of one module that you can take. We try and timetable it so that you can have access and attend the other optional modules, but they wouldn't be assessed. And as I said, you're a research project. Just bear with me a second. I realise I've got the wrong slides up. Let's stop sharing. Just going to get the other slides that we have. Thank you. I knew that because we've just updated our logo, and I've just spent about half an hour updating my slides with a new logo. We have reached out of the research project. The different modules we have, the nanotechnology, how nanomaterials can be used to direct cell behavior, whether we can have nanobots in terms of informed delivery, how we can use nanotechnology to direct cell behavior, and importantly, can we use nanoparticles to direct drugs? We take quite a critical viewpoint in terms of nanomedicine. Nanotargeting medicine has been around for about 30 years, but we still don't have any targeted drug delivery systems, and we talk about why that is. I lead a module on applied tissue engineering, and this is kind of an introduction to how we can make tissues using scaffolds and directed cell behavior. There's lots of different types of tissue engineering in terms of whether we can create material tissues inside the body or create tissues outside the body, such as decellularized scaffolds. We also discuss meat, artificial meat that can be generated from stem cells. Tissue engineering has quite a cool examination where it's very analysis focused, where we try to get the students to engage with the literature in the field and take a very critical viewpoint of the literature. We have biomaterials, which is an introduction to how different materials can be used to direct cell behavior or have different functions in the body. A range of different biomaterials, but the basic interactions that occur are similar in terms of water, protein, and cells. And obviously, you can tailor those different properties of different materials for different applications. For example, with breast implants, we talk about as well. We have the same research methodologies as the human tissue repair, and this is an introduction to how to perform statistical analysis, an understanding in terms of research project in terms of like what is science in terms of a clear hypothesis and evidence-based analysis. We have a practical module. This introduces students to basic cell culture techniques and cell analysis techniques that are useful for the project. We have a few different kind of like research projects, but the entire research field of research is all very translational, or it's trying to be very translational. So everything we do is targeted to improve patients' well-being. As I said, research projects are 50% of the course. We think this is really important. It means you engage with and learn in depth in a relevant research environment. You learn how to do research and present research, communicate research. We have a number of co-curricular activities to support the students. We have quite a mixed cohort of student intakes. Most of them are from a biomedical background, but we also have doctors, people from more chemistry or physics. And for these students, we offer some basic biology workshops so they can help normalize or harmonize the cell biology. Similar for basic chemistry, when we're talking about material science or creating nanoparticles, there is a little bit of understanding about chemistry that we need. We have a journal club. This year, I was super engaged with the journal club, which is great. And the journal club is, as it says, it's hosted every 2 weeks. And each week, students will present a paper, and then we critically analyze that paper. All our kind of research and teaching is trying to use real-world teaching examples. We are at the Royal Free Hospital. We're in the division of surgery, so we understand our contact with surgeons and medics that give us real-life problems. As I mentioned, very interdisciplinary from different backgrounds. To give you an overview of like the terms. In term one, it looks like this roughly, where there's for a few weeks we have these practical modules, which are several times a week, but then we also have the core modules for biomaterials, tissue engineering, and res math. And then term two, we want you to start on your research project and get engaged and start being in the lab. Plus, you have some more core modules and optional modules. This is like an overview of the year. So term one, we have mainly taught projects. You choose your project during that term one period. In the second term, we want you to be engaged with your project, but you also have examinations and taught materials. And then the third term is all research project. The deadline for research projects is July the 30th. So it's ample amount of time to really engage with the research project. We are connected. The academics that teach here are part of societies, both in London, nationally and internationally, and we really encourage students to kind of be part of these societies to help build their CV and to gain experience and network opportunities. I'm a trustee for the British Society of Nanomedicine, and this year, just thought I'd mention it, we're hosting the annual conference, which is going to be at UCL. So our career destinations are similar to human tissue repair, where the majority of our students go on to do PhDs, but we do have students which go into different areas, such as more the innovation landscape, enterprise, but also biopharma as well. That's it. Much. A brief overview of the course.
Thank you, Markella and Gavin, for those really informative presentations. We'll now move into the Q&A. Please add your questions to the Q&A box, whether they're about the programs themselves or about student life at UCL. I will read them out to our speakers and student guests. Now, while our audience write their questions in the Q&A box, I get this opportunity to ask our student guests a few questions. Selma, would you like to share with us your experience in studying the Human Tissue Repair course? What made you choose this course?
So, hello everyone, I'm Selma. I am currently an MRes student, Master of Research student at Human Tissue Repair, and I have chosen the Tissue Engineering program. MRes as an MRes student, which means I have started my project in my second term. I have been able to meet with amazing people with so many different backgrounds, both multidisciplinary approaches also. The classes have been amazing, the lectures. I got to know things more in depth and everything. And my project, I was able to choose what I wanted to do after talking with Professor Markella. She helped me all the way. And we have found what I was actually interested in and what I can do within the program. And it was an amazing start for me. I am currently working on pancreatic cancer disease modeling. Yeah, it's been an amazing journey, and I am more than happy to answer any of your questions about the program, outside of program as well. Who's my favorite lecturer? Okay, so I had chance to get Gavin's lecture as well, but tissue engineering, and also Professor Markella's lecture with inflammation lectures. I cannot choose. It's like asking me to choose between my mom and dad. So everyone was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Selma. Donovan, could you talk to us about your experience in studying the Nanotechnology and Regenerative Medicine course?
Hi everyone. So my name is Donovan, and I'm currently a current student in the MSc for Nanotechnology and Regenerative Medicine. So my experience so far, like we are currently in the second term, and it's been very insightful. I've learned a lot about tissue engineering, especially more broad topics. Like we get to learn a lot more about how tissue engineering is applied to like different organs, how nanotechnology is also involved. Everything has been very insightful so far. The professors are great. They're always very keen on helping, answering any questions if you need to. And yeah, so currently I am doing Gavin's project. Gavin is an amazing prof. He has been very helpful. His feedback is also excellent. It makes you really think, and it helps you improve in the type of research you want to do. Yeah. So if you have any questions, you can feel free to ask.
Thank you, Donovan. And now to the audience questions. I'll leave a few more minutes just for people to put their questions in the Q&A box. Okay, from Kiana Oliver. Hello, my name is Kiana, and I am in year 12, and I was wondering if you're able to conduct your own experiments to support your research, and what external opportunities did you engage with during the course that assisted you further in your research project? Selma, Donovan, anyone want to?
I can start, if that's okay. For me, choosing right now I'm conducting my own research experiment. And to support this, during my lectures, I always knew that I wanted to do something about cancer, but I didn't know which cancer I should have approached or how I wanted to work with it. Did I want to work on disease models or like biomarkers? What? Between those lectures that I've taken so far, I had an idea of, okay, I know I wanted cancer, and during those lectures, I had the chance to see different tissues and learn about different organs, their systems, and everything. And then it went on talkings with Professor Markella, who really assisted me really well on which options I had and which I could have chosen in terms of what. And with those talks and insights from the lectures, also lecturers, I was able to choose a project on pancreatic cancer and specifically working on disease modeling, where we do the disease models using all non-animal materials. So it was directly light up in my mind, and I was like, oh yes, that's what I want to do, and it's been going really great. I'm so glad to do that.
Thank you, Selma. I'll leave a few more minutes for any more questions.
Yeah, I think I can add on a bit. So I would also really encourage you to attend Journal Club. Journal Club basically teaches you how to critically review a paper, and it shows you that not every paper that is being published is a good paper. So with the skills that you get from Journal Club, you actually know how to improve the research that you're doing, how to improve, how to properly choose what characterization techniques that you want to do, for example, or to show that when looking at what other papers are doing, they may not necessarily be the ideal technique or the ideal method, and maybe potentially that's something you should avoid, or how you can improve on that. Yeah.
Thank you, Donovan. Again, I'll just allow a few minutes. Oh, Michaela, do you have anything to add?
Yes, I just wanted to say I'm sure it is also for Gavin and tissue engineering. But if any of you want to contact me, I'm sure you can get my email, or it's on UCL website and the Human Tissue Repair. And I'm more than happy to meet with you online, or if you want to pop in and see me and discuss the program further, I'm more than happy to do that.
Thank you, Michaela. And just to add on to what Donovan was already mentioning about the nanotechnology course, I personally did not have that much lab, so cell culture experience. So it was really the first term's cell culture module was very helpful. So I studied biomedical engineering, but was more so focused on physics and devices and coding. So I found that very helpful. It's not difficult to integrate into the course, is what I'm trying to say. And Journal Club was also very helpful. Additionally, UCL has a variety of societies, so, and I believe they also try to leave Wednesday afternoons free, so you have the time to join any society. Markella, has your hand up again?
Yeah, there are some questions. Kiana has put another question, and I'm happy to answer that. And I'm sure Gavin also does.
Yes. Okay. Kiana, I was also wondering if you had the opportunity to meet up with the publishers of articles and studies in order to gain further insights into their research.
So all of our students meet and work with people who publish, all our principal investigators, especially during their research projects. We also schedule workshops which actually meet, where you can actually meet editors from publishing journals such as Nature, for example, who come and talk to our students so that they can understand what kind of research is they like to publish. The answer to this question is that in these master's programs, you are immersed in research, whether you do human tissue repair or nanomaterials or nanotechnology or tissue engineering. Whatever you do, you're immersed in research. And that means you move away from undergraduate courses, which are much more lecture based. So you will have a very, very good insight how research is conducted, how experiments are being done, how they are presented in the scientific community and beyond in the world, in the lay community. So how we explain science to everyone, and these kind of skills, these kind of transferable skills are really, really important. You'll get a very good way, an opportunity to improve your own skills in these areas.
Thank you, Markella. Another question from Anonymous. Are there any professional societies or organizations that any of the student panelists are a part of? And would they be willing to share their experiences with them and how being a part of them has supplemented their experience? Donovan, Selma, if you join any society, professional societies? No?
Even though we're not in it, I will be able to say that at the first weeks, societies had their tents and everything to actually introduce themselves, and I had a chance to talk with a few of them. But unfortunately, I was more into some sport societies. Unfortunately, I had an surgery, so I wasn't able to. But it's not that we are so not able to do anything else outside our classes. It's just that personal thing that I was through that I wasn't able to join. The surgery was like I'm healing still. But other than that, there are so many great societies that you can be a part of, and there are so many great things that they are doing. Even though I'm not a part of any societies, I was able to join a few of the conferences and things that they were doing as a society, and they're really insightful. Last time I was joining to medical society, I believe, SUMED, I'm not sure, and they were doing some translational conference with great people coming out and talking about their experiences. Yeah, you can always join them, and even if you're not joining them, you can always see what they're doing and what's going on.
Thank you, Selma. Another question. If you want to study medicine in your intercalated year, can you do the nanotechnology or human tissue repair course during this year? Yes, I believe so. We have, oh, sorry. Markela, do you want to?
I can answer that question maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
so you can't. So there's a certain number of IBSCs that are available to UCL students. Some of those IBSCs are available to external, but the priority is for UCL students to get the IBSC choices they want. So if you are an MBBS student at UCL, then you'll have a list of different IBSC students available. So the nanotechnology and regenerative medicine, there are some modules that are available to, for example, the IBSc in surgical science as an optional module, but and I'm not sure it's the same for human tissue repair or not, Michaela, but you can't actually do the whole program. You have to be a postdoc. You have to have completed your degree first before you can do it.
That's not the case for human tissue repair. We can actually take intercalating MBBS students from approved courses as long as they've completed their at least they're on the third year. But we have to have an interview with these students and have a suspension of regulations. So we do take intercalating MBBS students from other universities. Not many, but we do, yeah.
Thank you, Markela. I'll leave 1 or 2 more minutes to see if I get any more questions and then close up the event.
I wondered, Tiffany, whether it would be interesting for students to explain a little bit briefly about life in London, outside of work, where you live, what's it like. I know that you're based in the Royal Free campus, so that you have, are you, as opposed to just, how do you find that between Bloomsbury and the Royal Free?
Okay, maybe I can start. So, um, firstly, I'm from Singapore, so it's a completely different environment. When I was deciding like where to choose for housing, I chose to get it privately. So currently I'm staying in Camden, which is zone 2. I would say it's kind of in between main campus and Royal Free. So it's very easy for me to commute between Bloomsbury or to Royal Free. Personally, I prefer commuting to Royal Free because it's a lot less crowded. Going to main campus in Bloomsbury, it's like central London. So it's always very crowded. There's a lot of people. But I would say for both campuses, the facilities are generally pretty good. There's also a lot if like between classes, you're feeling a bit hungry, there's also a lot of like great food options around to get like pastries or like even a meal. Yeah.
I would say that I also first term I was going to Royal Free Campus more, but right now as my project is also in main campus around Bloomsbury, I'm coming here. Where I'm living is at like at Waterloo. It's quite far away from Royal Free. It was 1 hour, but it's okay. It was fine. Coming here is easier for me, but as Donovan added, it's crowded a bit, but it's fine. Coming to do what you're doing with passion is fine. It's good to come and do the stuff. And with the cafes and like eating places, I would add ice cream places. They're really good. As someone who loves ice cream too much, there are so many great opportunities that you can find. Different places to eat and hang out, hang around with your friends between classes as well, around main campus and Royal Free, even though there's a bit like I think 30 minutes away from each other. Um, but both of the places are great. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. There's another question from Kiana Oliver. When you chose your accommodation the first year, if you were unhappy with your rooming, were you able to change it? I was not on student accommodation, so I'm not sure. Donovan or Selma, did you?
I'm also not student accommodations, but if I'm not wrong, from what I've heard from my friends, if you are unhappy, I don't think you would be allowed to change because it's usually quite competitive to get student accommodations here. You can try to appeal, but in most cases, I would think that it has to be internally settled between you and the maybe your flatmates or your roommate.
And it would also be depending on, I would think that why you're unhappy. Is it like mold there, or you just cannot get on along with the people there? So if it's like health related, it would be easier to change, I would say.
Thank you, guys. Markella, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that in masters, the master students, at least in human tissue repair, tend to form really happy friendship groups, and so they potentially they end up, and it has been known in the past that they choose they actually choose accommodation where they share a house or a flat. In the past, that has been that has happened, um, and they also, after they graduate, they keep in touch, and they keep in touch with me and with each other. So um, it really, you end up building a very, because these courses are quite relatively small, they're not like huge undergraduate courses. You end up knowing everyone and and having loads of friends. And I'm sure Tiffany, Donovan, and Selma will agree that that actually happens. You really do form very um, close friendships. And in human tissue repair, in fact, we have one couple who have now gotten engaged after meeting in human tissue repair. So years later, but nonetheless. So it's I think everyone is very friendly with everyone else. So potentially, if you were unhappy where you lived, you could see what your friends are doing.
Thank you, Markella. I agree with you. The course is very close knit. I'm sure Donovan can agree as well.
Yeah, the course is very close knit. So we usually plan a lot of like small gatherings and events together. I'm pretty sure Gavin knows as well because we've tried to invite him on many occasions. We're still trying.
Next time, I'll come. But I think it is one of the advantages of being at the Royal Free Campus is that you do form tight-knit groups because there's less students there, I think, and you mix better, which is good. And we try and facilitate it. We have some social events, Christmas quiz, etc., to get students to talk to each other.
Thank you, Gavin. Are there any more questions? Okay. Thank you, everyone. We're coming to the end of our session, so we need to wrap up here. Thank you for all your questions, and a big thank you to Markella and Gavin for their excellent presentations. We hope you found the session useful. Have a great afternoon, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great hosting. I'll see you all students. Goodbye.
Bye.